Good evening, and welcome everyone to this live telephone town hall meeting you have this evening with Rappahannock. We know a few of you dialed in early. We want to thank you so much for being prompt. Please bear with me as we are dialing out to almost 50,000 members this evening. So this dial out will take just a few minutes here. But after that, I promise we'll get right to the information, and we have a call packed with information this evening, so you don't want to miss a thing. So again, I want to welcome everyone who is just joining. You are live on the line for our Rappahannock Electric Co-op, also known as REC, telephone town hall meeting that we have for you this evening. We are calling out to you this evening as a way to open up the conversation and answer questions that you may have. The best way to get involved in our conversation this evening is by pressing 0 on the keypad on your phone. That'll get you in line to ask a question. We will be taking those questions live this evening, but if you'd rather not go live, that's fine. Still press 0, still get your question in line, and I'd be happy to read those over the air. Also this evening, we're collecting email addresses. If you would like to sign up for our bi-monthly e-newsletter, please press 7 to provide us your email address for that. Again, I'm going to go through this a few more times as we are dialing out to more and more members this evening. If you are just joining the call, we want to welcome you to this live telephone town hall meeting we have for you this evening. You are live on the line with REC, your Rappahannock Electric Co-op. This evening, you'll be hearing about the state of the co-op. So stay on the line so you don't miss a thing. In just a few minutes here, I'll be turning this over to our president, Kent Farmer. But before that, I want to tell everyone how to participate in this call this evening. We already have a few people taking us up on this. To get in line with a question, please press 0 on the keypad on your phone. Again, that is 0 on the keypad on your phone. We do these calls as a way to open up the conversation with you, answer questions that you may have, hear concerns that you may have. So press 0 on the keypad on your phone to get in line with that. Also this evening, if you want to sign up for our e-newsletter, please press 7 on the keypad on your phone. Again, that is 7 to provide us your email address so we can send you our e-newsletter. So last time here, I'm going to welcome everyone and say hello and good evening. You are live on the line with REC, that's Rappahannock Electric Cooperative. This evening, we have this telephone town hall meeting for you. In just a moment here, I'm going to be turning this over to our president, Kent Farmer. But before I do that, I want to tell you all how you can participate this evening. You can do that by pressing 0 on the keypad on your phone. That is your way to get in line with a question. We'll be taking those live here a little bit later in the call, but also if you'd rather not go live, still press 0 and get in line with your question. Just let your operator know that you'd rather not go live, and I'd be happy to read that over the air for you. So last time here, press 0 to get in line with a question, and we want to welcome you again all to this live call with REC. It is now my pleasure to turn this over to our president, Kent Farmer. Kent, please take it away.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kent Farmer, President and CEO of Rappahannock Electric Cooperative. I'm so glad you've joined us for our telephone town hall meeting. I'm joined this evening by our board chairman, Mr. Chris Shipe from Clark County. We are hosting this event to give you an opportunity to ask questions you may have about Rappahannock Electric. Your comments and concerns are important to us and help us to better serve you. We are dedicated to provide safe, reliable, and affordable energy to you, our member owners. That mission guides everything that we do, but how we achieve it is always evolving. REC is a well-managed and financially healthy organization. We are prepared to take on the challenges facing the electric industry. We are proud to be your electric service provider. REC serves nearly 170,000 connections in portions of 22 counties across Virginia. We have over 400 local employees reporting to our offices, working every day to meet your needs. Continuous improvement is important to ensure that we're doing all that we can to meet your changing expectations and to be the energy provider that you can depend on. It's critical that we maintain a strong and resilient electric system and regularly evaluate our energy mix. We are increasing our use of renewable energy sources, such as solar, And while ensuring adequate, affordable, and reliable generation supplies are always available to meet your needs. We know that for most of you, simply having the lights come on when you flip the switch and being able to afford your monthly bill are key important needs for REC to meet for you. But we also believe that the more you understand about how we make that happen, what we are doing to keep reliable power affordable, and all the other ways we're serving the community, you will appreciate being a member owner of your cooperative. That's why we're facilitating this conversation tonight. We work for you, our member owners. We want to hear from you. You have a voice in your cooperative, and tonight we've come to listen to that voice. So let's go ahead and get started with the questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kent. The way to get involved, just like you were saying, by pressing 0 on the keypad on your phone, just like John did. John, you are our first live caller of the evening. Please go ahead, tell us where you're from and what your question is.
Hey, I'm down in Caroline County. I was curious, why is the bill so expensive compared to other electric companies in our area and outside the state? And what is it that you're doing to lower the cost of our energy bill?
Well, quite frankly, our bills are comparable to all of the other utilities in the state, John. However, we did change our rates a little bit last year to where the prices during the summer months are a little higher than they are in the wintertime. And the reason we made that change is because that's how wholesale power is priced that we buy. And so what we're trying to do is to send our members the appropriate price signal so that it lets you all know that during the summertime when power costs us the most, we're passing those costs on to you. Again, we are always looking for ways to be more efficient and to keep our prices affordable. But again, one of the issues is that we serve 10 customers per mile. And if you compare that to an investor-owned utility, a lot of times they're serving at a rate of 50 customers per mile. So they have roughly 4 or 5 times more revenue coming in to cover their costs than we do. And our costs are a lot closer than our revenues. So the fact that we may be a little bit higher than an investor-owned utility is because of the rural nature of the service territory that we serve. So I hope that answers your question, but as always, if you think your bills are still too high, we'll be happy to send folks out to help you do an evaluation in your home to determine if there are wastes going on. For example, if there isn't enough insulation in a particular part of the house, or if there are leaks around the windows, we can help you figure out how to get those issues resolved. So I hope that helps, John.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kent, and thank you, John, for joining our conversation this evening. Got great questions coming. We're going to keep on moving. We're going to head to Yasin next. Please go ahead with where you're from and what your question is.
Excuse me, is this me?
Yes, it is. You're live. Please go ahead.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir, for this nice conference call. I really appreciate that. We are kind of guests, just like any other students here in Great Shenandoah University. And actually, we had some hard times at the beginning of the fall semester. They needed a high deposit. I don't know. I paid it. I don't remember exactly the number. It was a little bit high. And then also the bill is a little bit for us as students. We don't have earning because many students, they live off campus. So I'm talking on just not my case, many other students. So hopefully if there is a kind of discount for students, it will be very helpful. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you very much for your question. We do not have student discounts as it pertains to our rates. We try to make sure that our rates are fair to all of the classes of customers that we serve. But as you can imagine, we have folks on fixed incomes. We have folks that are disabled, and it would be practically impossible to try to have rates set up for each of those groups of individuals. But again, to the extent that the co-op can help our members understand how they use power and what causes usage to go up, we're more than happy to work with you on that. I would also reference you to our cooperative website, the Smart Hub that we have just added to our communications programs over the last year or so. There is a tremendous amount of information out there that will help in becoming more efficient energy users in the future. So if you will look at that, you will see a lot of different efficiency tips that you can take advantage of. But again, if we can do more to help, all you need to do is contact our office, and our staff will walk you through whatever other measures that might be available to help you control your cost.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kent, and thank you, Yasin, for that question this evening. We're going to go straight on to Bill from the phone. Bill, you are live. Please go ahead with where you're from and what your question is.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
All right, great. Thanks so much for taking my call. I apologize if there's background noise because I'm calling from the Nats Stadium at a game I'm attending tonight. I'm one of your customers that lives in Hume, Virginia. It's way out in the shadow of Rattlesnake Mountain, and we're kind of the last mile for everything. Rappahannock Electric's major asset is the infrastructure that it maintains and supports throughout your network, and it's being used principally for delivery of electricity. But there is a technology to allow it to deliver internet. We cannot get internet in an efficient, cost-efficient way, and I've mentioned it in the past to the board and to others at Rappahannock Electric, but I want to repeat my request that you consider using your infrastructure to deliver internet to rural customers. That's your core base. Thank you.
Bill, thank you for that question. I will tell you that we have been trying for the last decade to figure out how to deliver broadband to all of our members. In order, quite frankly, for us to be as efficient as we can be in serving you, those members having access to internet helps that tremendously. However, as a regulated utility in Virginia, we are restricted to some extent as to what we can invest in, because again, at the end of the day, it's your money that we're investing. And unlike the electric service, your internet service or broadband service is not a regulated utility. So in the event that the co-op makes the investment to provide internet service to our member owners and a new technology comes out, then we could lose all of our customers and lose all the associated revenue that is generated to support that investment. However, because of that, we have decided not to do the last mile, but we are installing a fiber utility network, and we're doing that primarily because it is part of the electric system. We need to have that communications capability between our offices and our substations in order to take advantage of some automation within those. And so our initial assessment is that we are going to overbuild the capacity that we need for our own uses and hopefully be able to use that excess capacity to attract other third-party providers of internet to come in to do the last mile. We realize that there are some other co-ops around the country who have made the decision to make that investment for the last mile. In some of those cases, outside of the state of Virginia, those co-ops are not regulated, so except by their board of directors, so they are able to make some of those decisions. However, again, because of the fact that we are a regulated electric utility, there are restrictions on how we can invest your money to provide you additional services. But we are in the process of trying to be part of that solution. So stick with us, and eventually we're going to come up with the technology to make that happen. So thank you very much for your question, Bill.
Thank you so much, Kent, and thanks, Bill, for joining us from the game. We're going to William up live next. William, please tell us where you're from and what your question is.
My name is William. I'm from Earlysville, Virginia. I really don't have concerns. As I told the lady, I've lived all over the country, lived in Virginia for 6 years, and I'm so pleasantly surprised at how wonderful REC is. If I do get a power outage, my phone rings and tells me there's a power outage, and most of the time why it's out and how long it should be down. And sure enough, it comes back on. Not in all cases, but at least I know why it's down. If I see any of your linemen out and about, and like they're in a shopping center parking lot taking a break, I will stop and thank them for their work. And let them know that they're appreciated. I've lived in other states where one entity controlled all of the utilities for that state, and it isn't as pleasant as having Rappahannock. That's all I wanted to say.
William, we appreciate your call. We appreciate your compliments, because I will tell you that when most people are being sent home from work because of weather, that's when we're calling our people to work. And our folks work in some pretty dangerous situations out there with the weather, and all of that is in an attempt to make sure we keep your power on as much as we possibly can to try to minimize the amount of time that you're out. But I also want to thank you for recognizing the efforts that we do in informing our members when power is out. And I would encourage those that are listening to sign up for our mobile app if you don't have it, so that in the event that you experience an outage, you'll get the same quality of service that William's getting. We put that information out there to try to let you know as quickly as we can that we know you're without power. We try to let you know what the cause is, and also, as he said, give an estimated time of restoration. We don't always hit it, but we want to make sure that we're giving you all as much information as we have, because in the event that it's a major outage and we're not going to get your power back on overnight, you may be able to take some actions, whether it's going to a neighbor's or to a hotel if you have to. But having that information allows the member owners to make the decisions that are in their best interest. So we appreciate you recognizing that. And again, I would encourage those who have not signed up for our mobile app to do that.
Excellent. Thank you so much, and thank you, William, for joining our conversation. We've got Devine up live next on the phone. Devine, please go ahead. Tell us where you're from and what your question is.
I'm from Spotsylvania County in Fredericksburg, Virginia. And so my question is, and it came up with the first caller, I'm also very concerned about the cost of our electric bills. And I know that Virginia has deregulation regarding utilities, and I'm just curious to know where and why hasn't the board moved towards deregulating the supply portion of our bill, which absolutely can be done, because I know that it's done through PEPCO. And in my community, I almost feel like the people across the street from me have PEPCO, and literally across the street, and I have Rappahannock. So I feel like I'm almost penalized because I don't have that option, which also increases my bill.
If you live in Spotsylvania County, your neighbor does not have Pepco. They may have Vepco, or that's what they used to be called. It's now referred to as Dominion. And we experimented with deregulation at the retail level in Virginia about a decade, actually close to 2 decades ago now, and determined that it just wasn't working. Typically, when a customer is disgruntled with their utility, it's more about service than it is price. But regardless of who you purchase your power from, Rappahannock is still going to be the delivery company for you in that sense. Wholesale power is deregulated, and we work within that deregulated market, and we are always at a wholesale level trying to make sure that the price of power that we're paying is as competitive as we can possibly make it. So, again, I don't mean to correct you, but retail customer choice is not something that's available in Virginia. But as far as residential accounts are concerned. But again, call us, let us try to help you figure out why your bills are perceived to be high. A lot of times that's driven by your usage that's causing your bill to be high, and so if we can help you modify your usage, we can help bring that bill down, whether it's through efficiency measures or other means. So please reach out to one of our offices, and we'll have someone come out and try to help understand what's causing the power to be there. But let's talk about affordability and expense for a second. I recognize that electricity prices make up a significant portion of our members' disposable income. But our average residential customer uses about 1,200 kilowatt hours a month. And that translates into roughly $125 a month. And so when you divide that by the 30 days in a month, you're ending up paying for electricity somewhere in the neighborhood of $5 a day. And I would challenge you to determine what else you use that costs $5 a day that provides you all of the benefits that electricity does. So even though I know it's shocking sometimes when the bill comes, but when you step back and think of all of the benefits you get from the electricity that we deliver, I think you'll agree with me that power is very affordable. I will also tell you that our rates are less today than they were 10 years ago. And so our board is doing everything that they can to help your staff to do the things that make us more efficient, that keep your rates as affordable as possible. So thank you again, Devine, for your call.
Excellent. Thank you, Kent. Great points, and thanks, Devine, for that question. We're going to Pat live next on the phone. Pat, please go ahead with your, tell us where you're from and what your question is.
My name is Pat, and I live in Frederick County. Last year, there was a big thing put in the paper that we were going to get some money back from the power company. I mean, millions of dollars were to be distributed between all of us. So I waited to see if it came through, and I didn't get anything. So I called the power company, where's it at? Well, look on the back of your bill. This is how much you've got coming back. And I said, I didn't get that. They said they put it in a trust fund or some type of savings fund that I can't get, but my heirs can get if they ask for it upon my death. I've never heard of such a thing. My children does not need that break. I do.
Let's have you weigh in, Kent.
Thank you, Pat. That's a great question, and we recognize that capital credits are a very difficult topic and subject to understand. So what I'm going to try to do, Pat, is explain how that works and how you end up with a credit on an annual basis. We, as you know, are a not-for-profit organization. all that means is that the profits that we do make get assigned to each individual member relative to the amount of power they used in the year that that profit was produced. And when I say allocated, I mean they get credited to your capital credit account. It's like an equity account. And at the end of each year, based on the margins or the profits that we've made, a certain amount of those are reinvested back into our system. And we do that so we don't have to borrow money. And as a result, that helps us keep your rates affordable. Then each year the board determines from its financial condition how much of the prior year's profits we can afford to give back to the members. So in the event that they've got, in this past year, they had $8 million that they were returning back to the members. So we take that $8 million and divide it by the total amount of capital credits in all of our members' accounts and create a percentage. That percentage is then applied to your capital credit account balance to produce the amount that you're going to get in the form of a refund. And again, I recognize that that may sound a little bit foreign, so let me explain it from an investor-owned company perspective. We call them margins, they call them profits. They do the same thing that we do in holding on to some of those earnings to reinvest back into the company. And whatever's left from those profits then gets returned back to you in the form of capital credits, which is equivalent to dividends of a stock. So what happens is that you earn those capital credits on an annual basis, and we retire some portion of those on an annual basis. But the amount that we retire is very seldom the amount that you've been credited. So at your death or at the death of a member, whatever patronage capital has been earned that has not been retired is offered to the estate on a discounted basis. So that's the way that patronage works. Very similar to a stock organization. We call them capital credits, they call them dividends. So hopefully that has helped you, Pat, but again, if you need more information, don't hesitate to call our office, and we'll, again, be happy to walk you through that whole process. But again, thank you for calling. Again, capital credits are a way to demonstrate that you, the member, is also the owner. Because again, whatever profits that we have that we don't have to reinvest into the business comes back to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kent, and thank you, Pat, for that question. We've got Ben up live next. Ben, please tell us where you're from and what your question is.
Hi, my name is Ben, and I'm from Orange County. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So I don't have any complaint about the Rappahannock Electric Company. Well, thank you guys for providing electricity, and we never had an issue ever since 2 years I joined the community. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for taking our questions from the community. The only thing is this: I have for people that they are thinking to save and they would willing to save. I noticed, like in Switzerland and other European countries, and for example China too, and Asia, like most islands in close to the U.S., the Caribbean, I noticed they start using the combination between electric and solar. Do you think this is doable in our community? Since the Rappahannock Electric Energy Company, they work with 22 counties. Is it that possible? Because if that's possible, because I made a project that can help the community, and in the meantime, the Rappahannock Electric Energy Company can too can be beneficiary from it.
Jim, thank you very much for that question. Rappahannock is very much in favor of renewable energy. As a matter of fact, through our wholesale power provider, roughly 13% of the energy that we sell comes from a renewable resource. We also have individual members, though, who are installing solar panels at their home. And when that happens, we do what is referred to as net metering. In other words, we give you credit for all of the power that you're producing, and then we only bill you for the electricity that we have to provide. But we also recognize that a lot of our members may not own the home that they're living in, or they may live in a subdivision that doesn't allow folks to put solar panels on their house. And so we have created a community solar program called Cooperative Sun Share. And what that does, you can designate how many kilowatt hours that you purchase a month, and we can make sure that power is coming to us from a renewable or a solar resource. So I would encourage you to go to our website and look at our Cooperative Sun Share program. And if you still have questions regarding how we can take advantage of solar, give us a call, and we'll be happy to walk you through the specifics and the details. But again, thank you, Ben, for your compliments as well.
Yes, thank you, and thank you, Kent. All right, we'll keep moving on. We have Mr. Prescott up next. Please go ahead, sir, with your where you're from and what your question is. Mr. Prescott, are you there?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
No problem. Go ahead.
This is Mr. Prescott. I live in Spotsylvania County. We built our house here on Brock Road 6 years ago, and we had fairly good success with the power company, but frequently, especially during storms, we'll lose power, and there's a neighbor behind us, about probably 200 yards behind us. There's a power pole on his property, and the fuses on that pole blow frequently, and they have to come reset the fuses or replace them. Since then, we have since in the last this summer and fall or last winter, we've had 6 different houses built in close proximity to our house. So I just don't feel like the power company has enough equipment to handle the load that's here now. Is there some way that could be looked into and maybe upgraded the supply of power, or a way to supply the power that would help this area and avoid the transformers or the fuses from blowing?
Thank you, Mr. Prescott, for that question. It is not a matter of capacity. We have more than ample capacity, but unfortunately, a lot of our lines run through rural areas, and as I'm sure is the case out near Brock Road, the rights-of-ways that we have our power lines in are typically somewhere between 35 and 40 feet wide. And so a lot of the trees are above that. So if a limb falls out of the tree and slaps the power lines, it's going to cause a momentary outage. If it lays across those power lines, then the system is designed to cut itself off so that it doesn't burn down. That allows us to get your power back on sooner. But we've also had a very difficult past year from a reliability perspective as a result of all the rain and storms that we've had. The ground is pretty well saturated, so when we do get winds, it has a tendency to uproot trees and blow them over into our power lines. But again, if we are evaluating all of our circuits to determine which ones are experiencing that type of activity on a more frequent basis, and we are redoubling our efforts as it pertains to maintaining the rights-of-way to try to give us a little bit more protection and coverage there. But again, it is not a capacity issue. We've got plenty of capacity. We've got more than enough lines to be able to handle the load. And as a result of growth, if we find that those lines are inadequate, then we are out there rebuilding them so that, again, making sure that the capacity is there when you need it. But again, we'll do some additional checking on the circuits out in the Brock Road area and see if there's anything else that we can do to keep that fuse from tripping as often as it is. But again, thank you, Mr. Prescott, for your call.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Kent. I think that answer kind of leads us into Connie. Connie, you are up live next. Please tell us where you're from and what your question is.
Spotsylvania, Virginia, and I'm calling about the outages that we have on a continuous basis. If the wind blows, if it rains, snow, we're always losing power. And that was my concern. And I'm just wondering, well, some of the questions were answered, if there's anything in the planning where Rappahannock can do anything about this so that we don't have so many outages. And my husband's on oxygen, so that creates a concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie, for your question. I will tell you that we do have a program that is referenced for medical conditions, and what we do is we'll send you a form, and you get that form signed by your doctor and get that turned in to us. And what that does is it moves you up in the priority list of getting reconnected in the event of storms and outages. I am in total agreement. We've had more outages than we normally experience, and that's been primarily, again, a result of all of the rain that we've had this past year. But again, the name of that program I was mentioning is Serious Medical Condition Certification Program. And if you just let us know, call our office and let us know that you need one of those forms, we will send it to you. You take that and have your doctor sign it, and we will make a permanent notation to your account so that in the event that you do experience an outage, we recognize that you're a priority to try to get back on as a result of those medical conditions. So again, thank you very much for your call.
Thank you so much for your participation, and thanks, Kent. We have Mac up live next. Mac, please go ahead, tell us where you're from and what your question is.
Yeah, I'm from Winchester, Virginia. I have a concern because I know you all buy your all's electricity as a subcontractor, and I understand business is business. But what I have a concern is, about a little over a year ago, you all switched systems, and I am one of those senior citizens who loves the idea that I can just click on a couple buttons and it's paid for. However, when you all changed systems, you screwed it up so bad that I literally had to take time out 3 months in a row to go up to your main office to get it corrected. And then at one time it got so bad that they were going to charge me $250 on my bill as a non-paying customer now. And I'm like, wait a minute. I come all the way up here to pay my bill. I always paid it online. You all screwed everything up. I had to literally fight this. So now to resolve the problem, I have to wait to get something in the mail and then just pay by check, okay? So that didn't make me too happy with you all. Well, now here's the other question I have. Is it public knowledge that any person that gets electricity off y'all, is it public knowledge that we can look on the site and see what you guys make in profit, but also what you all get as bonuses every year for the people out here to see where the money's actually going?
Okay, I'm not sure what the question there is, Mac, but as far as the conversion to the new system, it was a mess. We did not, that did not go as smoothly as we wanted to. We ended up having to change all of our members' account numbers, and it created confusion, but fortunately, we got through that, and I appreciate your patience in working with us to get through that. But all of those problems, to my knowledge, have been resolved today. We are offering paperless billing. We are offering automatic payments still. And again, I would encourage all of you who are listening to, again, go to our website, look at the Smart Hub information, and if you would like, we can provide you an electronic copy of your bill. We can handle it where we are debiting your account that you wish to use to pay for that, or we can take your payment via credit card. So we try to make it as easy as possible for our members to be able to pay in whatever fashion is most convenient for them. As it pertains to our compensation, we do detailed surveys and analyses on an annual basis that our board reviews and approves, and our compensation for our employees is in line with compensation for those similar type jobs all over the state. So we are making sure that we're not overpaying our people, but at the same time we are rewarding them for job well done. And so at the beginning of each year we set goals and objectives, and to the extent our results exceed those goals and objectives, then we share some of those benefits with the employees as an incentive. And so that may be what you're referring to, but I will assure you that it's not a great deal of money. It is a little bit extra that we provide to our employees, but again, it's totally based on the results that they produce. So again, thank you for your question.
All right, yes, and thank you, Kent. We're going to go to Mindy next on the phone. Mindy, please go ahead. You are live. Tell us where you're from and what your question is.
Hi, Mr. Farmer. My name is Mindy, and I'm from Albemarle County. And first, I'd just like to take just a quick thank you for doing this call. I'd also like to let you know that we recently finished a very large, well, for us it was a large project with Comcast to bring high-speed internet out to our small area of the county. We were able, this was a community-supported line. We paid for this line. The price went down because we were able to hang from Rappahannock electric power poles, which we very much appreciate. But I will tell you probably the most frustrating part of our project was actually partnering with REC, only because it's not as streamlined as you would think, and knowing that you serve a high portion of rural, by the way, I'm sorry if you can't hear me very well, I'm in Florida right now.
I can hear you fine.
Okay, great, because it's storming here. So I know that you all serve a large portion of rural customers, and I strongly, strongly support getting them access to high-speed communication. And I know this can be done because obviously you did it with us, but it was a lot of work to do that. We had to replace power poles to get them to, meet VDOT's rules and stuff like that. And we did pay for this, separate from, REC. We paid for this as a community project. Sure. But I highly support it, and I encourage you to find a more streamlined way within the company to have access to somebody that can talk to us about starting these projects and partnering with other companies such as Comcast and making it better for the community as a whole.
Thank you very much, Mindy, for your compliments and your comments. And I will tell you, we work with the cable companies as well as the phone companies and allow them to attach to our poles. Of course, they have to pay us to attach to those poles, and that's one of the ways we are able to keep our rates reasonable, because, again, you all as owners of the electric company also own those poles. So if anybody else is going to use them, we feel like that they have a responsibility to cover some of that cost, and that's how we do that. As it pertains, though, to having to change out poles because in order to get the height requirement for fiber that's going to be attached to the bottom of it or below our power lines on those poles, if we have to replace the pole to give us that level of clearance, that's not an option for the co-op. That's a requirement that's put on us by, as you said, the Virginia Department of Transportation. But again, we are willing to work with all of our communities and trying to help them help us solve the rural internet divide. That's again been a pet project of mine for the last decade, and we have tried every way possible to figure out how to do this, and do so in a manner that which we could offer you that service at an affordable price. And unfortunately, we can do it, but it is extremely expensive, and there are no guarantees as far as service territory, customer selection, or anything else. So we're not willing to invest your money if we can't figure out how we can guarantee that you're going to be paid back. And so that's what we're dealing with as it pertains to fiber. But as I told the caller earlier, we are in the process of installing a fiber network around our system, and hopefully that is going to eliminate some of the costs that other third parties might have to invest in order to be able to provide that last mile service. So our intention is to be part of the solution, working with others to do that. It's also going to mean that we're going to come to your counties and ask them to help fund some of these capital investments we're making in order to try to facilitate this. I think at the end of the day, it's going to take a public-private partnership ultimately to solve the issue of rural internet, and we are absolutely willing to be a partner in that process. So again, thank you so much for your call, and we hope you have a good time in Florida.
Yes, thank you so much. All right, we have Gil up live next on the phone. Gil, please go ahead with your question and where you're from.
Yes, I'm from Clark County, Berryville, and but I have a quick comment. I've lived in several parts of the United States over the last 10 years, most recently California, and your rates are incredibly bargain price compared to what I'm used to paying over 3 different jurisdictions. So I just wanted to say that because, you know, you've been getting a lot of comments about how high the rates are. You got to go to California. It's, you know, it's like twice what you would pay in Virginia. But my question is, I received in the mail, maybe 6 weeks ago or so, something from another company that wanted me to sign up for a continuous price guarantee of electricity or something. I'm paraphrasing, something like that. And I just wondered what your comment is about that and what I should do.
Well, Gil, first of all, thank you very much for your compliment as far as our rates are concerned. I am not familiar at all with the mailer that you are referring to. So what I would ask you to do, if you don't mind, is just make a copy of it and send it to us, and we'll do some investigation and see what we can find. I will tell you that we do have folks out there that are trying to sell services such as solar, and they are telling our member owners that if you hook up to our system, you'll never have to pay another utility bill. I will tell you that that is false advertising on the part of those individuals, and it's our objective to be your energy expert. So anytime you have a question regarding energy, rates, reliability, affordability, efficiency, or anything else, reach out to your local co-op office, and they will be more than happy to provide you with whatever information is necessary in order for you to make an informed decision as a consumer. So again, thank you for your compliment, and don't hesitate to let us help you. So thank you very much, Gil.
And thank you, Kent. All right, we're on to Barbara next on the phone. Barbara, you are live. Please tell us where you're from and what your question is.
My question is, I'm from Caroline County, the Baltimore area. I'm sitting here now with my lights out, and oftentimes when we have a storm, the lights always go out. And I was wondering, when will my lights be restored? And why is it that we have such a high outage rating?
Well, again, as you pointed out, we've had a lot of storms this year, and unfortunately with storms comes lightning, comes wind, and they are our biggest enemies as far as making sure that your service is reliable. In the case that you're experiencing right now, we had a storm come through here about 30 minutes ago, and it had some lightning and some wind with it, so my guess is that our folks are already en route to your area to get that power back on for you as quickly as we can. I also mentioned earlier to another caller that we're in the process of evaluating all of our various circuits and determining which ones we are experiencing the most problems with. And we are going out and redoubling our efforts and trying to make sure that those rights-of-ways have been taken care of, that we don't have danger trees that in the event of a storm or wind could blow over into our power lines. But again, power outages are just something that we're going to experience either, in the summertime as a result of electrical storms or in the wintertime as a result of ice storms or snow. And part of the reason for that is that our rights-of-ways are only so wide. And if the trees are taller than our right-of-way is wide and they happen to fall, they're going to take the power line down. And so in order to prevent that, we'd have to be operating on rights-of-ways that are twice to three times as wide as they are now. And unfortunately, all that would do is drive the cost of your electricity up. And we're trying, again, very hard to balance reliability and affordability. And so I realize that doesn't help you a whole lot when you're sitting there in the dark, but after you've had an opportunity to think about it a little bit, hopefully you will have a little more understanding as to why your power goes off. Because trust me, we don't want you all to lose power any more than you want to lose power. So our objective is to keep you on all the time and have as much power ready for you to use whenever you're ready to use it. So anytime we have outages, we're evaluating those and trying to determine if there's other equipment that we can put out there to help us prevent it from going off, or in the event that it does go off, how we can get you back on sooner than we would otherwise. So again, Barbara, thank you for your call, and I hope we get your power back on pretty quickly.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for your participation this evening, Barbara. We've got Irving up live next. Irving, please go ahead. Tell us where you're from and what your question is.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello.
We can hear you.
Good. All right. My name is Irving Plummer, and I am from Louisa, Virginia. My question is, why don't you go underground with the lines that will prevent all the outages and keep restoring the electric? By you doing that, it would help maintain our electric, and I think it would be a pretty good idea.
Well, Irvin, we think it's a great idea too, and most of our subdivisions, we've already put most of those lines underground. Our express feeder lines, though, that bring power to the subdivision, most of those are still overhead. And the reason for that is twofold. The first reason is when there is a problem, it's much easier to identify where the problem is, what it's caused by, and what it's going to take for us to fix. If it's an underground line, in a lot of cases, we can't determine where the problem is, so we end up having to sometimes replace the entire underground line. So that joins into the second reason why we don't do all of our lines underground, and that is cost. The rule of thumb, Irving, is that it typically costs about 4 times the amount to put in underground as it does overhead. And so, again, it's that balance between reliability and affordability. Again, to your point, we could put lines underground, but the cost of doing that is significantly higher than the overhead lines, which would mean your rates would be higher. So, again, it's a balance between affordability and reliability. So, thank you for your call, Irvin. Again, I want everybody to realize that we know that over the last 12 to 18 months, our reliability has not been up to our standards, and we are doing anything and everything that we can right now to try to solve that issue. But again, that issue is primarily driven by the wet conditions that we've experienced in Virginia over the last year. In 2018, we had almost 70 inches of rain, which is about 25% more than our average rainfall. And that in and of itself has caused a lot of our outages over the past year. So, again, thank you very much for your call.
Mm-hmm. And thank you, Kent. We've got Jody up live on the phone next. Jody, please tell us where you're from and what your question is.
Hello, from just outside of Ashland, Virginia, down in Doswell. My question is really just if you could speak to, you've talked about the solar infrastructure and the program, the Solar Share, which seems like a good idea, but I just want to make sure I'm thinking of it correctly. I think renewable energy is definitely the way to go as much as possible. It seems like the people that join that program are subsidizing the building of infrastructure that will eventually help the rest of the co-op. And so if you could just clarify if I'm thinking of that correctly, or if there's some other calculations I'm not taking into consideration. Generally, when you put in solar, you do end up with lower energy costs in the long run. It is an upfront investment. I understand that, but just if you could clarify kind of your stance on renewables and the calculations that you guys are putting in as a business to implement them. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Jody, for your call. You're right. Solar power, hopefully long term, is going to be more cost effective than some of the fuels that we currently use. But unfortunately, renewables are intermittent. And when I say intermittent, what I mean is the sun doesn't shine all of the time and the wind doesn't blow all of the time. And we haven't solved the storage issue for electricity yet. We're working on that, but unfortunately, it's still too expensive to fully deploy. The cost of installing solar is more, but those prices are coming down on a regular basis, and again, through our cooperative SunShare program, we're making it available to our members in blocks of 50 kilowatt hours or more, however you would like to do it and participate in it. But until we can solve the storage issue, it's going to be extremely difficult for us to maximize the utilization of renewable resources at this point. But again, the industry is moving in that direction as quickly as we can, and I am very hopeful that we'll figure that out in the not too distant future and be able to offer more of those types of services. But I will also tell you that the way we are regulated and in Virginia and how we have to charge, everything is for the most part is on a kilowatt hour basis. And so really the only cost that we incur on a kilowatt hour basis is the energy itself. The poles, the wires, the transformers, all of those things are required regardless of whether you use 1,000 kilowatt hours a month or 100 kilowatt hours a month. And so we have to recover those costs. We're trying to do that to some extent by raising our customer charge. And the intent of the customer charge is to make sure that we are recovering our fixed cost on a per member basis, not so much on a per kilowatt hour basis. Because under the per kilowatt hour only charge, those people that install renewables are being subsidized by those that don't under the current regulatory scheme. So we are working with the State Corporation Commission and providing them with the data that is necessary to support an increase in the customer charge or the fixed component of all of our members' bills. But it will be neutral from the consumer's perspective, because to the extent we're recovering more of our revenue through those fixed charges, we're lowering our kilowatt hour charges. So again, it is just the most fair way to price our product. So that's some of the reasons behind why we price the power we do and how we do it. So I hope I've answered your question, but again, don't hesitate to always contact the office if we haven't given you as much as you think you need.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kent. All right, we have Dave up live next. Dave, please go ahead. Tell us where you're from and what your question is. Dave, are you there? Do you have us on mute?
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, great. First off, I want to say thank you for all that you folks do. We've had the power go out a couple of times, and within minutes, the power's come back on. So I think you guys are doing a great service. My question is this evening that is there some sort of service you folks offer where someone can review what you actually have and what you're actually using for power? Now, I know when I say that I've called into the office and they've reviewed my records, and I received the standard answer of, yes, you have something that's using a lot of electricity within these. But I've still received that over and over again, and it's not changing. Do you folks have some sort of service where somebody can come out and actually be kind of hands-on and see what it is you, as a customer, need to change versus what you're currently doing, or no?
Absolutely, we do. All you need to do is give our office a call, and we will be happy to send someone out that will do an evaluation to try to help you determine what's causing the high usage. It could be something as simple, Dave, as an element in a hot water heater that has burned out. It could be a setting on another electronic device. We'll try to help you identify what that is. And then we'll also take a look at possible leakages of conditioned air, whether it's air conditioning in the summer or heat in the winter that you may be losing as a result of lack of insulation or poor window quality. And we can offer a whole host of ideas to help you be more efficient in the energy that you're using. So by all means, don't hesitate to call us. In the meantime, though, I would again reference you to our website. We have a list of energy efficiency techniques that our members can use to try to help them identify where those problems are even before we get there. But in the event that you can't, that's why we'll be there to try to help you. So just give our office a call, and we'll have someone come out and talk with you and take a look at your home and your appliances and see if we can help identify where the problem is.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kent, and thank you so much, Dave. With that, we have reached the end of our allotted time. We went a little bit over trying to squeeze in as many questions as we possibly could this evening. If you still have a question, comment, or concern, in a moment here after I turn this back to Kent for some closing remarks, you will be able to leave us a message. We ask that you please do leave us a message. Also, leave us back a good way to contact you. So that's either your email address or your phone number. Please say that, spell that very slowly, phonetically if it's tricky, so that we have the best chance of getting that down, and we will get back to you within the next week. And with that, it is now time. I'm going to turn this back to Kent. Could you please just take us to the finish line?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you again. And to reiterate what Allison said, we recognize we weren't able to take everyone's question on the town hall tonight, but please let us know what that question is, and someone will be back in touch with you with an answer. As we conclude our time together tonight, I just want to take time to thank everyone who took part in tonight's town hall. I can assure you that we place a great deal of value on your questions, your comments, and your concerns. I also want you to know that you don't have to wait for us to call you. If you have questions, comments, or concern, please reach out to us at any time. And again, thank you so much for spending some time with us this evening. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our board chairman for being here tonight as moral support. We didn't get a whole lot of questions as it pertained to governance issues, but if you have questions regarding governance issues, there is now a place on our website to where you can submit your questions for the board as they relate to the governance of your cooperative. If they're operational in nature, just call the office. But if you have questions as it pertains to the board of directors, governance, or anything else, look for that space on our website so that you can get those questions entered, and we will get you responses as quickly as we possibly can. Again, thank you all for being member owners of Rappahannock Electric, and thank you for participating in tonight's call.